Hey, welcome to December 2023 on my little podcast here. I'm so glad you stopped by and you have at least downloaded this, or possibly you are watching this on YouTube. I have been doing this now. I'm entering probably close to 4 years, totally solo. I do all the booking, I do all the interviewing, the research, etc., etc. There is absolutely no music. I would love to use music, but I don't want to pay royalties because this is a like no budget, low budget type operation. So that's what it is. It is what it is. I have a lot of fun here. I talk with a lot of great people, including Dinah Manoff. I've had Dinah on this program before, audio only the last time, but this time we're doing it via Zoom and it's great. We had a great discussion. She's always so fun to speak with. Dinah was once on the show Soap, starring Billy Crystal, etc. A lot of other great actors on there, including Richard Mulligan. At the time we recorded this, the actor strike was going on, so we actually really couldn't even mention the program or any other projects for that matter. We chiefly discussed her audio book based on the book that she had written. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a great audio book as well. And you'll have to listen to this to get the info on where to get that audio book or to read that book. She's a really fantastic writer. She's a director and she's up there in the northwest of the United States, just doing marvelous stuff. It's a great talk. It's fun to speak with somebody who reinvented herself. And no doubt she's at the top of the list and just a really sharp, bright woman. I really enjoyed speaking with Dinah Manoff. Here we go. Great to see you.
Yeah,
So you're still up in Seattle?
still on an unknown island near Seattle. It is really, really beautiful here. And, because I don't care about going into Seattle often, I don't, commute. It's nothing for me to, deal with the ferry stuff. I love it.
Yeah,
I
and
like being away.
that's nice, and I'm sure I would assume that it's very conducive to writing and very
It is,
inspirational.
yes. And there's a big, creative community here as well. So it's, pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, like community theater. Is there a lot of that up there?
There's a fabulous community theater up here, the Frank Buxton Theater, which was just remodeled, and it's you can't even believe it's a community theater. It's so technically it's really adept and great place to work.
Yeah, and so
I,
much
I
different.
don't I don't act there, but I've directed and taught and stuff like that, so it's really fun.
Yeah, yeah. It must feel very nice and cathartic to take on the other role of directing and being on the in the other aspect of it rather than acting.
Well, acting for me comes with, it's like it has side effects. Like the side effects are anxiety, egoism, nervousness, you know what I mean? Low self esteem. And I don't want any of that anymore. I'm like too old and too happy to, to, to have to be that anxious anymore. And when I direct or when I teach, I just feel, or when I'm writing, I just feel, good in my skin. And I don't have to deal with, how I look and judging myself in the mirror and
Yeah, I
all that
can't imagine
crap.
that. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
terrible. It's terrible. And I think there are some people who just don't have it as bad as I do, but I got it bad. And so I'm, really happy not to be acting. Although I'll tell you, when I did the Audible version of the book of Jackie Gold, I got to act Jackie
Right.
Gold. I got to, be the protagonist and narrate the novel. And I brought in all this talent, here on my lovely island, this local talent. And we performed it in this little recording studio that we have on the island. And I had so much fun acting without any of the side effects, just being able to play. And I think it came out great. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, so this is available on Audible and anywhere you would
And
get these.
Amazon, and yes,
Amazon.
yes, anywhere where you get an Audible recording. Although I don't know that it's on the library Audibles yet. And I don't know how, I'll have to talk to the distributor about how one gets that on the Libby app. The library gives you free Audible. So I don't know how that's done.
Yeah, and if you listen to this, and I have, it's just really amazing because you got this whole cast of characters. It's not just simply the author reading the text from the book. This is a cast of characters. You got sound effects. It's a great audio book. So I would urge anybody who would really like to get a nice, lively audio book. This is the one. It's just incredible. Did you envision doing it to that maximum with having that much talent and going all out like that?
Well, originally when I was approached to do the Audible by this lovely distributor in Los Angeles, I sat down because I'd never done anything like that. And I sat down and kind of practiced on my own. And then I read some of it to a friend, who I trusted on the phone. And she said, "Oh, that you're not very good at this." Well, I don't know what to do. I only know, how to do what I do. I don't know how to do all the voices of this person and that person and guys and, be doctors and nurses. And so I thought, well, why don't I just get other actors to do those voices and I'll just play Jackie Gold, who I know I can do, and that's how it came about. And it just ended up being such a labor of love. And we had, so much fun being together and, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and how did you find the cast? Was this people you had known for many years? Just how did that all come about, getting them all involved?
Well, most of the cast are students of mine, former students of mine, because I've taught acting here for many
Hmm.
years. Some are students I've directed. Some are working actors who are local talent. Barbara Deering, one of the women who's in the book, she works a lot. Fritz Oldavia, he works a great deal. So, I was really fortunate that, it was still the tail end of COVID uh, when we started doing this, and everybody was pretty available. So I was like, yay, I can have anybody whenever I want them, just about. And we all just tested because we had to be in this little recording studio together. And it was really like, hey, in the old days, it would be Mickey and Judy putting on a show. You bring the
Right.
props and I'll bring and that's what we did. And my dear friend and sometimes business partner, Michelle Allen, she learned how to do all the machinery, the recording stuff in the studio, so that we wouldn't even have to hire out to have somebody run it because, once you're in, it's pretty simple. The editing was all done by the distributor in LA. So we would send him the takes at the end of every night and so that he could put them together.
Yeah, it sounds really professional. So that's nice that you don't have to go into an actual recording studio and have to deal with the whole crew and everything like that. So that's gotta feel
No,
really good too.
yeah, and I had some issues with hoarseness coming up, and because I wasn't on a time clock or in anybody else's studio, I just went back in the week after everybody else was done, and I re-recorded sections of the piece that I wanted to have more vocal clarity on. I'm still a little hoarse in it, but I'm always a little hoarse.
Yeah, that's with performing. I'm sure that brings it
Yeah,
all back when you do something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, for sure. So this the book is fantastic. We talked about how all that idea came together. I think in the audiobook, you really do come across as talking about the paparazzi and how
Hmm.
that effect is on people who are in the business. I think you really, really captured that and it really brings it home.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, what we may have spoken about when we first talked about the book, the reason I wrote it originally was because when I was on a show that I can't mention because of the actors strike, but
Right.
it was a show I was on for 7 years and was a spin-off of another show I can't mention. Um,
I know we were able to mention
anyway,
these people last time, and there's such lovely
but
people who you work with
all
whose
I
names
can
cannot
say
be
is just
mentioned.
you'll figure it all out. Anyway, this guy showed up at my door, and I'd had stuff run in the tabloids before, but, it was never anything serious. It was, silly stuff. But this guy showed up my door. I had just had my first child, and he showed up at my door, and he was from the Inquirer, and he wanted to question me about the paternity of my son. And I felt like I had been robbed or assaulted. And I started to scream at him from this very brand new mother bear protective place in me. And I chased him off my property. And then I called a very big lawyer in LA and got them to kill whatever was going on. And so, this was, maybe a year after the thing with Princess Diana dying because the paparazzi had chased her into this tunnel. And it started this germ of an idea for me of, what if there was this actress, who was so pursued by the paparazzi that they effectively almost killed her. And to set that up and to set them up as the antagonist, and then to explore the themes of what priced fame. And so, that's where it all germinated from. And lucky for me, when I was a young actress, and I was not a very well-behaved young actress, I have to admit, I was really lucky there were no cell phones. But, the more famous, the really famous young actresses like Demi and even like Britney Spears in her heyday, I mean, these guys destroyed them. I mean, they would just, follow them around still. I mean, what am I talking about? Still relentlessly. And so I wanted to write about that period of time when the tabloids were the enemy, and when the studios were using them to promote, stars and films, even if the stars did not want their attention.
Yeah, any news was good news to them because it just got it got the project, in the papers and the tabloids at the checkout counter. People, it gets them to talk. So yeah, I'm sure the studios were not as sensitive, and probably still are not to this day, just with all this technology now. What a difference. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Britney
you
Spears
can't
is,
hide.
yeah, you really
You cannot
can't.
hide. No, no. I just read, this is way aside, but I just read this amazing article. You may have read it in this last New York Times magazine about Taylor Swift.
Hmm.
That great columnist Taffy Broderson, I can't remember her whole name, wrote about how Taylor Swift has learned how to tell her own story, and that nobody can tell it for her. She doesn't do interviews. She doesn't, she puts out what she wants to put out, the way she wants to put it out. And it's like she's taken charge of this time, the way, most people have not been able to. Anyway, I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, that's really neat. When you talk about somebody like that, she actually mixes it all within her art. So there's like no questions to ask. It's all out there
Yeah,
already. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And she handles it well. She's a little bit older now, so she could handle it a little bit better. Yeah, Britney Spears has never been able to get out of that bubble. So you could tell it's
No.
really messed, it's a psychological thing that's happened with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like Tori Spelling, I've been watching all
Yeah.
this, shitty coverage of Tori Spelling, woman I worked with years ago, and who there are pieces of her in Jackie Gold's story, the mansion on the hill, the father who ran the studio, she's kind of part of that, what's it called? That kind of collage of characters that I pulled from to make Jackie, and this
Sure.
terrible coverage they do of her to sensationalize, whatever the hell it is she's going through. Still, you can't get away from it. Me,
Yeah.
I'm on an island. Me, I'm on an island. So,
Yeah, that's where you find your sanity instead of being
yeah,
immersed in that Hollywood culture 24/7. I can't even begin to feel how tough that's got to be if that's all you know from, and you
yeah,
you can't get out of that bubble. And that's why some people have moved away. I think it was
yeah.
was it Mark Wahlberg who kept moving? I think he went to Vegas, and I don't know if he's there anymore. But I don't think he wants to do very much acting anymore either. It's
Yeah,
intense.
yeah, yeah. Well, some people are lucky to be able to. I feel very lucky that I was able to leave and raise my kids here. But I have many, many, many friends still in LA who are having fabulous lives doing what they want to do. It's just, wasn't what I wanted to do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great how you have reinvented yourself. And a lot of people do that in this world. And it's great that you have those second or third or fourth wins in life where you find that discipline to be successful in something completely never probably would have imagined when you were in the throes of acting.
Well, I think for me, I think there was a part of me that kind of always knew that one day I would just sit down and write because that was always, I mean, I had written screenplays and stories and, there was that part of me was always alive and ticking. And I, directed television when I was on television. Um, and of course, I grew up in a show business family, and my mother, pretty much groomed me from the time I was young to know that my career would be over at 45. So,
45, you're just a baby at 45.
yeah,
Yeah.
but and that's with lying about your age. So, I was already prepared from an early age that I was going to have a second career and move on as she did. She became a director in her 40s and by the way, my mother, Lee Grant, who is now 98, is
Wow.
still amazing and sharp as a tack and goes to Pilates every week and walks down Broadway, sachets down Broadway. And I'm going to see her next week.
Oh, that is awesome. I lost
Yeah.
track. My gosh, first
Yeah.
time I saw her on a detective show many years ago, and I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, she was
Yeah.
so, oh my God. You ever catch that? It's on Freevee and every other place. But wow, wow. That is a really strong woman who just
Yeah.
yeah.
She's unbelievable. She really is. So yeah, I'm very lucky to still have her, that we still have each other and that we're still having such a good time together.
Yeah, and what keeps you sharp? Yeah, doing those activities and not just physical, but mind as well. You can still
Yeah.
be sharp in your late 90s. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, she wrote her memoir in her late 80s, scribbling it because she's never learned to type. So she scribbled the whole memoir on a yellow legal pads, piles of yellow legal pads that, she then had transcribed. So, and she's still writing, letters to the New York Times about, whatever is pissing her off that day. So, yeah, she's involved. She's involved with a lot of things. She just had a reissue of two films she directed at I think was the New York Film Society. Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah, total legend of the screen,
Yeah,
TV, and
yeah,
everything else. Yeah, there's
yeah,
plenty to complain about to the New York Times these days. It's just
yeah. It's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
oh my gosh, it never ever ends. This is a fantastic project. You can get this on Audible. The acting is just phenomenal in this. I
if
love
you
how
use this on, if you show this, it's the real
there you
true Hollywood
go.
story of Jackie Gold. And oh, let me read you what Jamie Lee Curtis said about the book. Hmm.
Yes, one
A
of my favorites.
brilliant A brilliant rewinding of a life of Hollywood glitz, grit, gluttony, and nose jobs. Fellow author Jamie Lee Curtis, right here on the book.
Yeah, all these people coming out with books. When's her autobiography coming out? If we don't, if
Oh,
there's one I don't know
I think
about.
she's got some more living to do before
Yeah.
before her. That's going to be a good one too. Boy, I worked with her dad. I can only imagine what her autobiography is going to be like.
Oh my gosh, the stories. And speaking of that, Arnold Schwarzenegger's really out there. He's been hitting the circuit with his book and just so
Oh yes, I
inspirational.
heard. Yeah, I heard. Well, all the stories finally come out.
It eventually does. It seriously does.
My
Well,
mother's autobiography was called "I Said Yes to Everything," and I said if I ever wrote an autobiography, it would be I said yes to more than she did.
Absolutely. It's great. And yeah, have you ever really gotten into journaling? Have you gotten into doing stuff like that, just as, doing like a diary or anything like that?
I don't, I'm not a journaler. I mean, I try and then I get so bored with myself. I mean, truly, I'm a fiction writer. I like to take parts of myself and then express it in other ways through other characters. That's what gives me satisfaction. I do free writing. I write from prompts. I do a workshop almost every morning on Zoom with a group of writers where I just sit and we write in community. But journaling for me is like then I felt bad about this. And so, I went
I
to the
know.
market and
Yeah. And you got to keep
I'm
coming
just
back,
not
gotta,
interested with myself. I mean, God knows after, 30 years of therapy, really? Do I want to just, blah, 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 blah. That's how I feel. I'm like, tell me about you, but I'm done with, listening to me.
yeah, you wish they would just record the therapy sessions. There you got it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. And
that.
then it's done. Right.
So what's next? Do you have another book in the works or just something putting it on the side?
Having just gotten the Audible out, it just was released 2 weeks ago. I'm putting in my last push on Jackie Gold to hopefully have people hear it or read it, because I do think it's really a fun story to read or to listen to. And then, I'll go back to the projects I'm working on. I'm not writing another book. I'm writing in a different genre that I don't want to talk about right now because I'm so insecure about it. But I've got some stuff I'm working on, and none of it's in Hollywood.
Yeah, how nice is that? Keeps you busy. It's good for your mental and physical well-being. So
Correct.
that's gold, definitely.
Um,
Well, thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll
thank
definitely get the
you.
word out there. Yeah, great new
Thank you.
audiobook.
What is in your cup that you've been holding all that time? I'm wondering.
This is my day job. This is a show I work on.
What does
That's
it
my
say?
day
Oh, the
job.
Situation Room. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's what I do
Yeah.
on my day job. Regular. You know
Uh-huh.
what I really got into is this
But
mushroom coffee. It's called Rise,
I've been
RYZE.
hearing about that, but does it have caffeine? Does it wake you up?
The chicory version doesn't have any caffeine. That's my next
Uh-huh.
bag. The original little bit, not like your regular, not like Starbucks. Oh my gosh. It's got some caffeine.
Yeah.
It's not too
Now
bad.
I'm a coffee girl. I live for my morning coffee, so I won't be going into mushroom coffee with you, I'm sorry to say.
And then one with chicory too. I always like that Cafe Du Monde stuff. It's really good.
Yeah.
That's if you go to New Orleans, it's and the beignets. Oh, it's
Oh,
amazing.
well, that's a whole other conversation.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Take care and best wishes and all the
It was
success
really
with this
nice.
new. Yeah.
Thank you. It was really nice chatting with you.
Take care. Have a good one. Wow. I hope you enjoyed that. Just you like, I mean, for those of us watching on YouTube, the scenery behind Dinah is just stunning. I mean, she's in a beautiful environment up there. I really don't like to disclose anybody's locations, but the Northwest of the United States, visit often if you would like. The Seattle area up through Oregon. They want to say Oregon over there. Northwest part of the United States. It is so unique. Some people want to have a lot of sunshine, so that's why Florida is so popular. But I love that part of the country. Closest I ever actually got there was Vancouver, British Columbia, which I just adored. It's just so wonderful to go running, hiking, biking in those areas, which I like doing. But yeah, I'm not huge into the beach thing or whatnot. So anyway, had a great time speaking with Dinah, and just stay tuned. I have more guests here coming into 2024. Hope to stick around a while, and we'll see what happens. If you notice, I kind of have like a beard going on here. This is because I'm recording this in late November of 2023. I do Movember every single year. I like doing Movember. I raised a couple of funds for that, and it's a men's health awareness kind of thing. So look it up, Movember on online. So enjoy. I hope to hear from y'all and see you all soon.